If you're an artist who is wanting to start selling the artwork but have no idea where to start or how to do it, then this video is for you. Over the last few years, I have gone from selling 0 pieces of artwork to now having sold over £10,000 worth. Which, if you would have told me that a few years ago, I would have been like, get out of here, that is not gonna happen. But I regret to say it was not all smooth sailing. As artists, we start out just wanting to make pretty pieces of artwork and know nothing of the pitfalls to selling our artwork. So unlike other videos where they just talk about what hashtags to use and a lot of nonsense, I'm actually gonna give you everything you could possibly need to know to start selling your artwork, from what selling platform you should choose to the legalities of it all. I can promise you that by the end of this video you will have all the knowledge that you need to start selling your artwork. But anyway, onto the main stuff. Selling platform. There are so many different selling platforms that you could go with, but I'm just going to focus on the 4 that I have had the most experience with, because I don't want to be giving you dodgy secondhand information. I would like to start off with Instagram, and I know opinions on Instagram are quite mixed at the moment because of the new algorithm changes, but I don't want to discount it just yet because it is where I got my first few sales. The great thing about social media when it comes to selling your artwork is that it allows you to build a community of people who genuinely care about you and your art. People are far more likely to invest in your artwork if they know and like you. Part of selling your art is selling yourself as the artist. The main thing about Instagram to consider is that it often does need time to grow before you can start to sell. For example, I was posting on and off on Instagram for about 2 years before I got my very first commission that wasn't from family and friends. And that was a pet portrait for like £65, I think. And I was only around the 300 follower mark, so that shows that you really don't need a huge following to sell art on Instagram, which I feel like is a big misconception. And to this day, I still make most of my sales through Instagram, either through commissions or directing people to another site to purchase my original artwork. So, here is my best advice if you want to sell through Instagram. Make sure people actually know your art or your commission services are for sale. Like, it sounds silly, right? But the amount of times that I hear artists like, oh, I'm really struggling to sell my artwork on Instagram, and I'm like, let me check out their account. I can't see anywhere that their stuff is for sale. Do not make your buyers go digging for information. You want to make that barrier to purchase as little as possible. Direct people in your bio to where you sell the artwork. Let people know your commissions are open. Make constant stories, make a highlight, post it, comment it. You just need to make it obvious that you have stuff for sale. Please, if right now you're thinking, oh, I think I do that, go fix it. Go right now, fix it. And you're gonna hate me for this next one, but you need to be consistent. And I'm not talking you have to post every single day. No, it's okay. I managed to grow my account to just under 60k, posting like every 3 to 5 days. And it's fine if you miss some periods where you don't post for ages. Like, I've just come out of a period where I didn't get anything posted for months. It's okay. I'm still here. The account's still there. Yeah, I lost like a few thousand followers. Who cares? Who cares? It's fine. You just want to stay in the forefront of people's minds. Now we're going to move on to the next platforms, which are eBay and Etsy. One of these platforms sucks. They're both similar in the fact that they drive their own traffic, which means that you don't need a following anywhere else. You don't need to have a social media or anything like that, because they will find you buyers. Despite Etsy being marketed as this place for crafty people with handmade goods, I had a real trouble selling there. My listings on Etsy would get way less views than they would on eBay. With eBay, you could expect to sell stuff within a few days to a few weeks, months. But a lot of stuff on Etsy, it took years to sell, which I find so ironic because Etsy is marketed as this place where you can sell, original handmade artwork, compared to eBay where, someone's flogging the nan's old sofa and a dodgy broken laptop. Strange. And maybe I was a little bit harsh saying that Etsy sucks, but it sucked for what I was trying to do, which was mostly sell original paintings. But I did go through a phase where I sold these little paintings on pieces of wood. They were more like cute gifts and they sold really well. The profit margin wasn't great, so I ended up not continuing those. But this is what I mean when I say who's your target audience and your goals from a platform. Because if you're selling gift items, cards, prints, I think Etsy could be a benefit to you. But for me personally, I could sell way higher value paintings on eBay than I ever could on Etsy. If you want the overall figures, I made about £2,000 on eBay compared to only a few hundred on Etsy. Tips for selling on eBay. Make sure you have great product photos. You are only going to have 1 second to capture a buyer's attention when they're scrolling through hundreds of paintings just like yours. I would also recommend including staging images. This is where people get to see the painting in a scene, like a living room, so they can really see what it will look like in their own home. And don't worry if you don't have anywhere aesthetic in your house to take these pictures, you can use preset staging sets. I don't know what to call them. Staging images, which I have a load of, so if you would like to access those to make your own, then the link will be down in the description. What I do is I use Procreate, and you can also use Photoshop to move one of your artworks into the scene to show people what it looks like. You just gotta make sure with this that it's staying around the same size, because people are gathering size of your artwork from these images as well. Another tip is I would also say have a look at other people selling similar artwork to you and make a note of the keywords that they use in their title and description, because like Google, eBay is a search engine, so you need to put those keywords in your titles so that the algorithm can pick that up and show your painting to the correct buyers. Whilst eBay is great for starting out, you may want to upgrade at some point. You will struggle to increase your pricing over time on a place like eBay because no one really knows who you are. Even with a spectacular painting, a buyer who has only just found your artwork will likely be reluctant to pay the £1,000 price tag because they hardly know who you are. Which leads me to my next platform, owning your own website. Having your own site is really great. It adds to your credibility and it gives you the freedom to be able to customize it however you like. However, there are two things that I would consider before making the decision. Are the fees that I'm being charged by another platform exceeding the cost that it would take to run my own site? For example, a standard website on Squarespace costs around £250 annually, plus a 3% fee every time someone buys your work. Sorry, I gotta read from this one because I need to make sure my figures are right. So if I'm selling £3,000 worth of art on eBay annually, with eBay taking a fee of 12.8%, then using eBay is costing me £384 annually compared to Squarespace, where if I sold the same amount, it would cost me £340 annually. At this point, it is more cost effective to own your own site. The second thing is, can I drive my own traffic to this website? Ideally, you want the answer to one of these questions to be yes before you get your own site. Of course, you can get your own site at any time you like. Don't let me tell you when you need to get it, when's the best time. I just wanted to let you know like the cost benefit of it all so that you can make an informed decision. Woo! That is selling platforms done. So that is by far the chunkiest section of this whole video, so sorry for that huge information dump. That is it now. You can chill. Until we get to legalities. I still struggle with legalities to this day, but it's okay. I'll walk you through it all. Okay, next is pricing. Now, pricing is really personal to each and every artist, but I'd say there's 4 things that you will need to factor into your pricing. Level of experience, confidence and ability, credibility, and demand. It's about trying to strike a balance between getting paid enough for your time and your skills while also making sure you're actually getting work. It would be a good idea to put some prices in place that you feel comfortable with and then seeing how people react to them. You know, it's okay to change your pricing. Sometimes you do just need to put yourself out there and see how the market reacts. If after a few months you're not getting any hits and you're not getting any new clients, it could be an indication to possibly put your pricing down. Conversely though, if you're doing amazing and you're getting loads of clients, that could be a sign to put the pricing up, because as your demand goes up, your pricing should also go up. But there are also methods to pricing if you want to keep your prices consistent as you go up through the sizes. The one that I personally use is the price per square inch. This is calculated by doing length times width times your price per square inch. It's up to you what you want to set this price per square inch at. I personally have mine at 1.25 at the moment. So as an example, if I'm selling a painting which is 20 by 24 inches, then I will do 20 times 24 times 1.25 to get my price, £600. Now, it's not to say that you can't still mess with these prices. That's it gives me something to work from. Obviously, if a painting took a lot longer, maybe the price will be higher. If I used gold leaf, that's really expensive material, so I will increase the price. So now you know where you're selling, what your pricing structure is. Now it's time to know how to take payments. Super simple on sites like eBay and Etsy. It's all automated, so all you have to do is link your bank account and the money will go straight in. But if you're taking commissions or you're selling your paintings through, say, Instagram, you need to know how to make invoices. I personally use PayPal, and they take a 2.99% fee, I think, out of every payment. When sending invoices, you will need to include a terms and conditions section. And for me at the start, this was really daunting. I had no idea what to include, and I couldn't really find any resources online on telling me what to write. So to make it easier for you, I have just made some templates on how to lay out your terms and conditions so you can access them in the ebook down in the description. For commissions in particular, you absolutely must take a deposit before you start painting. I take a 20% deposit, but anywhere between 20 to 50% is pretty standard. This is so important because you need to cover yourself if there is a circumstance where your client doesn't pay you, and then at least you've had a deposit from them which is non-refundable so that you've not completely wasted your time. You do hear horror stories of artists online where they didn't take a deposit and the client has just ghosted them. Save yourself from that happening. It's the most we can do to protect ourselves as artists. Now we're going to move on to packaging. When I mentioned at the start about things not exactly going smooth sailing? Well, this is one of the many mistakes that I made along the way. This is a picture of a packaged painting with a hole through it. It was a picture from the client showing how the painting arrived to them, and I was devastated. But let this be a story to warn you about how important packaging really is. It's safe to say that I am more than meticulous with my packaging now. And if you're wondering what happened with the story, the clients were lovely about it, and I was able to get fully refunded for the painting because I had insurance on it, and I just made them a new one. Your first layer of packaging should be acid-free tissue paper, or something like this, which is safe to have on the surface of the painting and is just that first layer of protection. You are then going to follow this by at least 2 layers of bubble wrap. I wrap one way and then I flip the painting and I wrap it again the other way. Always make sure the bubbles are facing up, so the flat side of the bubble wrap is to the canvas, because if you are sending something like canvas, you don't want those bubbles to be pressing into the surface. I then, with extra cut off strips of bubble wrap, I kind of fold them a few times and then wrap them around the corners. You can also use something like foam corner protectors. Just make sure that those corners are really well covered because they are one of the weak points. They are something that could get bashed and dented. Now, I make sure I have loads of layers of cardboard because that is what I messed up in the past. You want to use BC cardboard. This is a type of corrugated cardboard where there is 2 layers. It's like double-decked cardboard, right? So it's nice and thick, it doesn't really bend, and it should protect your painting. Now, I actually make my own boxes because it's really difficult to find boxes that are the right sizes. It's way easier just to make your own. I actually have this one that I made earlier. So this is empty, there's no painting in this yet, but this is an example of one of my boxes. Has my branding on it, which is a nice little touch. If you would like to learn how to make these boxes, it's super simple and I've included a full set of instructions to it down in the ebook. I also want to cover packaging add-ons. So these are the extra little bits and bobs that you put in and on the packaging, which are just quite a nice touch, I think. So the first thing is a certificate of authenticity. A lot of collectors will expect this as part of the painting. I didn't used to include it, like don't worry if you sent paintings out and you haven't included a certificate of authenticity. It's basically just a document to show that the work has been produced by you. It acts like a sales receipt. If the painting is ever sold on, sometimes a certificate of authenticity is necessary to prove that the painting is what it says it is. On the certificate, you need to include the title of the painting, dated was created, the materials you used to make it, the artist's signature, and if you made prints, then the number of prints that you made of it. There are loads of templates for certificates like this on places like Canva, which are free online, which is where I got mine from as well. It's also great to include a business card if you have one. A handwritten thank you note is a really lovely addition as well as care instructions. A lot of people may not know how to look after a painting, so it could be a really lovely touch if you tell people about the ways to protect the painting to make it last much longer. These may seem like small, insignificant things, but when your collector sees how much extra time and energy you've put into it, it shows that you really care about the artwork and you care about the collector. It could be the difference between just a happy customer who received what they ordered to a repeat customer who has been so impressed with the service that they go ahead and buy another painting from you in the future. And last thing, fragile stickers or just some fragile tape, anything that says fragile. If you don't have any, if you don't have the money, write it on the box. That's what I used to do. I'll grab a Sharpie, fragile on the box. Because let's face it, this is the average postal experience. The main thing to think about when choosing a postal service to use is whether or not they offer insurance and how high the liability of insurance they offer. Not all companies will offer it for paintings because they know they can be particularly valuable and easily damaged. Others may offer insurance, but only up to a certain cost. In my experience, Royal Mail, if you are UK based, DHL and FedEx all offer higher liability insurance for artwork. I personally go with FedEx because they give discounts to businesses who create accounts with them and post often, and they also do insurance up to £1,000. When shipping artwork that costs higher than £1,000, you will need to start looking into art shipping services. It's really difficult to find postal companies like regular couriers who will cover paintings that are that higher cost. When buying your postage, there should be an option to declare the price of the artwork as well as being able to purchase a higher liability insurance. Always purchase the insurance, always. Even if you're so confident in your packaging and you don't want to have to spend the extra money on the insurance, always buy it. You do not know what could happen. Alrighty, now for the super fun part, legalities. Besides the terms and conditions, which I did cover earlier, most of the things that you need to know about legalities is in terms of shipping abroad. I'm sure you can imagine my shock when I sold my first order abroad and had to fill out a load of paperwork. I was not expecting that. You know, call me stupid, but I had never sent anything abroad. I didn't expect my painting would need to go through loads of checks. I actually got away with doing a lot of stuff wrong and I never really realized until I started selling higher value artwork. I think once the value starts to increase more, customs, they tend to pay more attention to you. I got told things that was like, oh, you can't really be doing that, or like you need this kind of number, and I was like, I've never needed one before, and they were like, well, you need one. So make sure that you know the tariff code of the item that you are selling. A tariff code is basically just an internationally recognized code which is used to identify an item you are selling. Original paintings have a tariff code of 9701910000. I would write that number down because I am always forgetting it or always misplacing it and I have to go and research it all over again. If it isn't original paintings that you're selling, then you may need to look up the tariff code yourself. I have included the link to the gov.uk website where you can look up tariff codes and all that good stuff, so that's all in the ebook. All the links I'm about to mention, they're all down in the ebook. The next thing is that you have to include a customs form attached to the outside of your packaging. If you're in the UK, we use a CN22 and a CN23 form. I'm not entirely sure if other countries use this as well, so you'll have to take a look. But a CN22 form is where you're selling goods which are less than £270. For anything above this price, you will need to use a CN23, which adds more detail basically. I use clear wallets saying documents enclosed on them to attach this to the outside of the packaging, and you can put all of your information, all of your paperwork in these. You can get like 1,000 of these for like 15 quid or something. So I would recommend getting some of these. The links are all down below. The next thing is you will also want to include all of your invoices inside that same wallet. If it's a commission, you took a deposit and a balance payment, you will need both of those invoices inside the painting. They need to see that whatever price you have written down in your form that you filled out, you need to have the paperwork showing that you are telling the truth basically. Some companies such as FedEx will also want copies of these invoices as well for themselves and their own records. Next is to make sure that you have a trading number. In the UK, this is your EORI, and this is one of those things where I had no idea about until like fairly recently, I'm talking within the last year, and I got a random email when I'd sent out a painting and they were like, do you have an ERI? And I was like, I had no idea what they were talking about. This is why I'm putting it in here, so that now you know that your country may require a trading number. I will leave a link to where you can apply for one if you're UK based. Other countries have different systems for application, so you may need to read up on what your specific country does and their regulations. But you will be glad to know that that is it. Sorry, I know that was so much information. I tried to make it interesting and enjoyable to watch, but I feel like it is really important to say as well. I think I covered most of the important stuff, but if there's anything I missed or if you have any questions at all, then just let me know down in the comments. But yeah, I hope this was helpful, and